Our business is in a difficult position, and it is hard to overstate the challenges we face together, said Kelly Ortberg, who started at CEO of the troubled aircraft maker 2 months ago, and has been dealing with a strike by 33,000 hourly workers for half his time on the job. The announcement is just the latest blow at the troubled plane maker, which has faced losses of more than $33 billion in the past 5 years, a string of severe, sometimes fatal safety lapses, and increased scrutiny from regulators and law enforcement as a result. Beyond navigating our current environment, restoring our company requires tough decisions, and we will have to make structural changes to ensure we can stay competitive and deliver for our customers over the long term, Ortberg wrote in a memo to staff Friday on positioning for the future. Ortberg's notice did not give the number of jobs that would be cut, although as of the start of the year, Boeing had 171,000 employees worldwide, with 147,000 of those in the United States. Years of problems and losses. Boeing has had more than 5 years of severe problems, starting with 2 fatal crashes of its best-selling plane, the 737 MAX, in 2018 and 2019, which resulted in a 20-month grounding of the jet worldwide. It also suffered massive losses in 2020, when the pandemic caused a near halt in air travel and forced airlines to pull back on their orders for new planes. Among its more recent problems was a door plug on a 737 MAX flown by Alaska Airlines that blew off minutes into a January 5th flight, leaving a gaping hole in the side of the plane. While the plane was able to land without any serious injuries to passengers and crew, it sparked a new round of federal investigations into the safety and quality of Boeing's planes. The preliminary findings of an investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board found that the plane had left a Boeing factory 2 months earlier without the 4 bolts needed to hold the door plug in place. Boeing's space and defense business is also losing money. Its first crewed flight of the Starliner spacecraft left the 2 astronauts it carried stranded on the International Space Station for months, rather than the short visit they were supposed to make. Ortberg on Friday said the company needs to focus our resources, rather than spreading ourselves across too many efforts that can often result in underperformance and underinvestment. The company had already announced it was instituting rolling unpaid furloughs for a large share of its non-union employees to try to save cash during the strike by members of the International Association of Machinists Union IAM. Those furloughs called for the affected employees to be off work 1 week out of every 4. Friday marked the end of the 4th week of the strike. The layoff decision means the next furlough cycle will not happen, Ortberg wrote Friday. Employees will be informed about the future of their parts of the company starting next week. We know these decisions will cause difficulty for you, your families, and our team, and I sincerely wish we could avoid taking them, he wrote. However, the state of our business and our future recovery require tough actions. Losses mount during strike. Losses over the last 5 years have caused Boeing's debt to soar, and it is in danger of having its credit rating downgraded to junk bond status for the first time in its history. According to the major credit rating agencies, Standard & Poor's said this week that the strike, which has halted most of the company's commercial plane production, is costing it about $1 billion a month. Boeing gets most of the money from the sale of a plane at the time of delivery. Despite the dire financial conditions, Boeing had offered the IAM members raises of 25% over the 4-year life of the proposed contract. But rank-and-file members of the union nearly unanimously rejected that offer and voted to go on strike starting September 13. The company then raised its offer to increase wages by 30%, but the union leadership said that also was not sufficient. Federally mediated talks between the 2 sides broke off last week. But wages are not the only issue. Union members are still angry that Boeing demanded they give up their traditional pension plans 10 years ago. When the company was doing well financially, the rank-and-file union members at that time narrowly agreed to the loss of the pensions because Boeing threatened to move jobs away from unionized plants in Washington state to new plants it might build elsewhere. Boeing dropped that threat in return for the loss of the pension plans. Even with all of its problems, Boeing is likely at no risk of disappearing. The company has only one rival that also provides full-size passenger planes for the global airline industry, Airbus. However, Airbus does not have the capacity to handle Boeing's orders. That's because both Boeing and Airbus have order books for their planes stretching years into the future. If airlines that are Boeing customers cancel their order, they would have to wait 5 years for a comparable jet from Airbus. Among the programs being cut is the 767 jet, which is now only being built in a freighter version. Boeing will discontinue that plane once its current orders are completed and delivered to customers in 2027. That plane is built by some of the union members now on strike. Ortberg also said Boeing's newest wide-body passenger plane now being developed, the 77X, will be delayed further. The company had already disclosed it, had been forced to halt test flights due to problems. We have notified customers that we now expect first delivery in 2026, he wrote.